Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough
And
Central.
welcome back. I'm Bob Hickey, speaking to you live from the Ahern Middle School as we eagerly anticipate the live election results of the 2016 local elections. So the contested races, of course, were for Foxborough Selectmen and for Foxborough School Committee. It was a pleasure having a chance to speak to the candidates before we came in here, the ones who had withstood the cold and the rain. Now, before we go any further, I did want to make mention that Martha Slattery, who's running for term on the school committee, did ask me to extend her apologies for not being able to stay and to thank her supporters for all the work they did on her behalf of the campaign. So knowing Martha as I do, she would have stayed and been here if she could, and we wish her the best of luck in the coming election results. So given that, we also didn't have an opportunity. I know it was a cold and rainy day, and I know that Mark Sullivan was feeling under the weather, and we also missed Steve Sloan. So congratulations and appreciation to all of the candidates who ran for both offices. It takes a lot of work to volunteer and to really put out that much effort.
Right.
So, John, thank you so much for joining me. I love this part of the day because it's really my chance to dig a little deep into politics. And for those of you who, may be new to Foxborough politics or new to us here in Foxborough Cable Access, I'm a little bit of a local political junkie, so I like sitting around talking a little turkey. So let's talk the turkey. It's going to be coming up on May 9th at our annual town meeting.
Week from tonight, 7:30, Foxborough High School Auditorium, the annual town meeting. There's a total of 31 articles that the town will have the opportunity to vote on.
I guessed 32, so I was off by one.
You were close, yeah. I think we actually started with 35, but some were withdrawn.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're at 31, which is, kind of a high amount. But some of them will be relatively easy.
A lot of housekeeping duties.
There's
some
housekeeping.
articles.
There's, I think, 5 street approvals
Okay.
For acceptance. So those should be relatively easy. The ones that I think will get the most attention will probably be the borough renovation, which is being proposed.
So the borough renovation, that's a big money item.
It really is, yeah.
It can, and as we know from our past experience, we in this community tend to try to pretend that roofs are going to last forever and everything
Right.
that you can't see just kind of happens to stay put. But that's not always the case. So what's going on with the borough?
So the borough, yes, it will be the roof. There's other repairs that need to take place. There's also an addition that's going to go on to the borough. And a portion, or at least a portion of that, supports the pre-K program, which has seen, quite a few students in it over the last year or so. I think they may have had 62 last year,
Really?
if I remember correctly. Yeah, so it's a new program where they try and indoctrinate children a little earlier before they get in. I thought it was interesting in that I was told kindergarten students actually take the place of mentors and take the pre-K kids around. Yeah, so I think it's a great experience for both.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. So
But,
that's an addition that needs to be made to the borough school. But then the infrastructure itself, I understand that the roof is in pretty bad shape.
It is. The roof needs to be replaced. Yeah, and there's other things. I think windows and things of that nature. So it's a pretty comprehensive job. What I find interesting is when I ask what the number is, it's estimated to be somewhere around $10 million. And you think about everything we went through over the town hall, which was approximately $7 million. Now, granted, the borough, there's matching funds that come, along with that, which will lessen the blow to the Foxborough taxpayers. But still,
So is the total cost $10 million, or is the cost
Total
of
is-
Foxborough $10
no,
million?
the total cost is estimated to be somewhere around 10. So figure about half of that for Foxborough.
Now, and again, speaking with John Schleck with the Foxborough Advisory Committee, knowing the schools get reimbursed at the state level for infrastructure improvements, capital improvements, what is your best guess as to how we are positioned to have that happen at the state level this year?
So Bill Euchner has come in a couple of times and presented. I
Bill
forget
Euchner is our business manager with the schools.
Correct, yeah. And I forget what the acronym is, MCSA or something along those lines, but they make them go through a rigorous process of, establishing the need, establishing that funding will be in place for this, and that's, part of the mechanism that they go through to obtain the match from the state.
It's a long-standing mechanism. I remember State Treasurer Tim Cahill giving us a presentation about how the process went. In fact, with the high school renovations, us putting it on hold during some budget crises at the state level until it was time. And obviously the timing was good because it came in under budget, got reimbursement, actually getting some money back. So, good work on that side of it. So do you anticipate the borough renovation project, has it been well vetted? Has it been, do you feel as though enough work has been done to this point to have it go forward at town
Absolutely.
meeting?
I'm really confident in it, and I know that the initial feedback at the state level has been reported to be really well accepted. So good work by the folks in Foxborough to prepare for that.
Super. Well, that's great to hear, particularly since it's going to be a big money ticket, but at the same time, it's one that needs to be done, I'm sure.
Exactly.
You can't afford to let those things go. If we learned nothing else, what is now the Sage School, we learned that in spades.
Yeah.
So
another
hot
big
button
ticket item is water infrastructure, and there's going to be an ask for a bond of about $16.5 million this year.
Okay.
It's intended to replace pumps that have outlived their usefulness. So it'll be new wells, I should say wells and pumps. Wells are not producing what they originally did, and they're aged, they're very old. There's been some studies that suggest that nearby, new wells could support the flows that are desired and needed. So they're looking to put that in, as well as obviously infrastructure in terms of piping.
Okay.
And all of this is intended to improve pressure, capacity, and get rid of black water.
And that's a real issue that's been plaguing that part of Foxborough going down Cocassa Street in particular. And so this is one of the fixes that will be necessary for that?
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
I see. And, obviously the correlation has to be drawn with the water restrictions being announced so early this year, and the total ban on car washes, charity car washes that we've come to know and love at Town Hall.
Exactly.
Is this going to be a partial fix to it, or is that a completely separate issue based upon water flow or water drawn regulations from the state?
Well, I don't know what the state regulations are. I know there's been a lot of issues around that. At the end of the day, I look at it as, there has to be an assessment of what the reserves are, what we've got coming in from, if it was a dry winter, if there was, runoff, I know that this general area has not seen what they typically see in terms of precipitation over the last year or so. So that could easily be contributing to it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that all of us who enjoyed not having to do all the shoveling, we're probably going to pay for it this summer.
Well, we didn't get the snow last winter, but we really didn't get much rain at all last summer. You saw, the Miramichi was very low. Most of the lakes around here, you could see a notable difference over, typical seasons.
Well, the Miramichi, that's an interesting one, because you've got one community that is not playing by the same rule book as everybody else. We'll leave that for another day, but I've got some pretty strong opinions. I'm sure a lot of the people who live on the shores of Miramichi probably agree that somebody's pulling a little bit too much out of there.
Yep. The plug is a little loose over
Which
there.
has the plug. I like that, but that has nothing to do with this Warrant article.
Right.
So this Warrant article, $16.5 million in the bonding. Right now, interest rates are still at historic lows. Randy Scollins, our finance director, I'm sure that he's given some feedback, input into, is the timing right now? Is the opportunity positive, maybe not so positive? What's been the thought on that?
The timing is fabulous, A. And B, the town is basically been identified as potentially receiving an upgrade in their rating. So we've had a lot of discussions with Randy, who's done a tremendous job in presenting, all of the work that's gone into this, what the ratings agencies look at, and how we seem to be really well positioned to get the highest rating possible, which is AAA. If I'm not mistaken, there's only 10 communities in Massachusetts that have that rating.
Really?
Yeah. So that would really be a feather in our cap. Obviously, that would help in interest rates for the town, which right now, we're the next best level. So we're still getting favorable interest rates. The environment obviously is very favorable for interest rates right now. So it's not the wrong time to be taking on major infrastructure projects.
Well, and I know that even going back to my days as Selectman, Randy has always taken the long-term view on our credit rating and the importance of maintaining our credit worthiness in the eyes of Standard & Poor's and the rating agencies, Moody's, and the rating agencies. And so a lot of credit goes to him, as well as the management by current town, going back to Andy Galla, but current town manager Bill Keegan, with ensuring that we don't do things that are not viewed favorably by the ratings institutions. And to that end, taking on too much debt or doing overrides for operating budgets, keeping an eye on expenses. So a lot of work goes into it. It's not just showing up, the interest rates are kind of nice, let's refinance.
Yeah, or the roof is leaking, let's try it this year. Yeah.
So a lot of forward planning goes into it, which of course comes into the role that the Citizens Advisory Committee plays in giving some sort of sounding board and oversight and continuity, because election cycles happen, but the Citizens Advisory Committee is I won't say oversight because that's the wrong word, but it is definitely an investigative advisory panel that takes the time, because you have members who are assigned to each issue, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we typically have a liaison to each issue or department, and they try and go a little deeper if they can, and we have more than one person assigned to it. So it's worked very well in the 3 years that I've been there. People establish relationships with department heads, and they're able to get the information they need, and it really helps in making a proper decision. I think it also holds the department heads accountable to produce the information required for people to make informed decisions, and to vote it at our town meetings, with all the information available.
And I know that particularly I do, but most people who go to town meeting simply don't have the time to research, so we really rely heavily upon the work that you and your committee does. So thank you very much for your volunteerism, and I know that it's a year-round obligation. It's not just you show up 3 weeks before the town meeting and render an opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on, and there will be some openings next year, so anyone who's interested, I really encourage them to reach out to the town moderator, Frank Spillane.
I was going to say, the town moderator makes the appointments, and that way it's an independent process, because it really is not controlled by the selectmen. Many of the warrant articles are proffered by the selectmen, and so it would make little sense for the advisory committee to be under their thumb. So it's a truly independent operation here in town. So good for you for volunteering to do it for 3 years now. And you're going to do it again?
Yep. We'll see.
I'm, of course, speaking with John Schlebeck with the Town Advisory Committee, and reminding you to come to the annual town meeting on May 9th, starting at 7:30 at the Foxborough High School. So one of the big items there, the emotional issue that people want to learn about, I'm going to give it to you now. Liquor licenses.
Liquor licenses. So, yeah, there are quite a few liquor licenses that are being put up for approval this year. They're in 3 separate articles. There are 4 liquor licenses that are being proposed for the Route 1 node. The Route 1 node effectively is the Route 1 corridor from town line to town line. So it's Walpole to Rentham. And it's any licenses that are approved for that node would be for now and in the future. They're not transferable outside of that node. I'm really impressed with the work the Economic Development Committee has done in researching the need for these. I think that, and they also believe that they're an essential part of economic development. They supplement and act to augment businesses that are coming in. And there's so much room for development in that Route 1 corridor. This would also go hand in hand with potential zoning board changes on setbacks and things like that, to try and standardize the zoning in that area and make it easier for more development. Obviously, water is another issue in that corridor. But, it's really no surprise that stretch of Route 1 in our town is the most undeveloped stretch of Route 1 between Providence and Boston. It's really a prime location, and I think it's a tremendous opportunity, and I really hope we do it right. And I think that's what they're getting at here. Okay. One of the things they've done, and this applies to all the liquor licenses, is they've looked at surrounding towns and how many liquor licenses do these towns have approved and in hand. We're at a significant disadvantage with respect to our surrounding communities.
Which is interesting, because when you look at the influx of business and liquor licenses, it seems overwhelming, but then when you think about it, maybe we're just late getting to the ball game.
Potentially, yeah. Or maybe people are catching up to us, and you've got developers that may be interested in placing a restaurant or something like that in town. If they're looking at one of our competitors, one of our neighbors,
And that's how you have to view other towns. It is a
It is. It's
competition.
absolutely
We are
competition.
vying for people, for businesses, for infrastructure, and for growth. And
Right.
You're
Right.
absolutely correct.
and it does bring the ability to enhance the tax base. They're looking, they're not looking at these as strictly restaurants. They're looking at these as part of, complete developments, which could be, some type of commercial, it could be research, retail, whatever. But, people expect to have an ability to eat near where they work.
On that final note, I thought we were getting ready. We're almost ready for the live election results. So, John Schleck, I'm going to give you the last word from the advisory committee. What do you want to tell us all?
All right. 2 other articles on liquor licenses. There's 2 being sought in the Route 140 Foxborough Boulevard area, and there are 3 being sought for the downtown area. Obviously, downtown is, we're looking to revitalize that. And
with sewer coming,
this is a head
now's the
start.
opportunity.
Exactly. And the 140 Foxborough Boulevard area, we've seen a development going into Foxfield Plaza. That area is a tremendous area for opportunity there. It's near the 95 interchange. Traffic is suitable, so I think we've got a really good situation set up there.
John Schleck with the Foxborough Advisory Committee. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to
Thank you,
join us
Bob.
here on
My pleasure.
live television. Not everybody has the power to do it, but you do. You were very brave, and I really appreciate your taking the time. I want to welcome you to come on my Foxborough Central program at any time so we can talk a little more.
Talk to my agent.
We are a resource. All right, then. Thank you so much. And I'm going to take this, and I'm going to thank John for showing up and sharing the hard work that the Citizens Advisory Committee has done for us, the citizens of this town, as we get ready for the May 9th annual town meeting.